Right, thanks for joining me back in the shed. Another little custom order that I'm working on today. It's quite a simple one really. It's one of these corner shelves. Now they want me to work within a certain parameter that they've got because it's going to be sitting on the corner of the stairs on that kite section. They want it to sit nicely in the corner. So it has to be, they want it a certain height, but it can only be a certain depth out from the wall. So I've had a little play around with some different dimensions, see whether one, being as tall as they want it to be, it will be stable enough once it's all together. Being that it's going to be sort of narrowish at the bottom. But I've worked out some neat little ways, I think. So the next step now, I've got some things mocked up. I've got an angle down here. Let me turn you so you can see. I've got a piece of wood sitting against the flat part of my worktop here, and I've clamped an angle to that to make sure that that's completely square. So I know that this one here, which will be the part which will make contact with the wall, will be completely square. Almost. So I'm going to be working out of some reclaimed wood as well. It's an unusual one for me. I don't do as much out of reclaimed wood as I used to, but sometimes it's called for. So that's the rough basis of it, and then there's going to be pieces of wood that are going to be here, which I'm going to put in these sort of sections. They're around about, taken into the thickness of this, they work out about 12 inches apart, but I'm having the shelf sit on top of each one, so from the top of the shelf to the top of the shelf will be 12 inches apart. So that's the idea. I've got some lines marked out already, so I've got it worked out where all these are going to go. Now the one thing I do need to look into is, because obviously where it's kind of joining the corners, it's whether these need to go all the way to the back or whether I'm going to step them off just by the thickness of it to allow me to get that perfect degree. Other than that, I can secure it with some pieces at the back here to join them together in the middle. So that I'm still working on. I've not set on how I'm going to join them together. It may be just the case that they join together with just the shelves and that will be strong enough. But we'll see what happens. So I've got a couple of these pieces cut already. So I just need to trim out a couple more, which I'll show you on the miter saw, which is what I'm using. And then before we nail it all together, because that's what I'm going to do, you're going to use my nail gun and just use a couple of brad nails on it. It's not going to be holding any serious weight, and so it don't need to be all screwed and glued and everything else together. Brad nails will be absolutely perfect for it. So bear with me while I get that settled, and I'll get you situated by the miter saw so you can see what I'm doing there. Right, you don't need to sit here and watch me sand all of this down. I am going to give this a little bit of a rough sand over as well, just because it is a bit reclaimed wood. I want to make it look decent. It's going to be all painted black anyway, so it doesn't really matter what colours it looks at the moment. It's all going to be black. So, but I still want it to look nice. So I'll catch you back up when I'm at that stage. So from the very bottom, I placed the first one 5 inches up, and then again I've stapled that one in because I know that it's 5 inches up to the bottom of it, and from the back part to the front edge, again to, well, this is actually for the top part of it now, it's 9 inches away from the back to the front. I hope you can make sense of that. If not, again, with most of the things I build, I'm sure I've mentioned it in all my videos so far, or most of them. If you want plans or anything, give me a shout and I'll scribble some stuff together. So the next thing now is just to nail it all together and then start working on the shelves. So I need to trim a couple of these down. As you see me do with that one, I've trimmed that one down a little bit already. That one's alright. So just for where I want to place them, I want to trim them down a bit. So that's one of the things that I do. I just have a piece of wood with a bit of the, I think it's P80, I think I put it on at P60. I've just glued it on it. It just gives me a nice little thing to hold in hand. And just knock the edges off just like that. And because it's on a bit of scrap wood, just throw it away when it's done. I just like to double check as I go, just to make sure I am right. Just because, you know, sometimes we can be wrong. Now I've not decided as to whether I'm going to make the shelves, floating shelves or not, but we'll see how that goes. I know these are, like I said, these are all going to be painted black. I'm quite happy with how they turned out. Can't really make out, that's obviously going to be the side profile. That's the inside of it. So they will stand together. You can see much of it over there, but they will stand together. That side. And then the shelves obviously be on here, which is the next thing to work on. So let me clear my workspace a bit and then I'll get on to sorting out the shelves. Right, so there we have the shelf assembled. As you can see, it's actually a 5 shelf piece, including the top, and it's not a bad height. I'm 5'7", you know, so I'm not the tallest, but I'm not that much of a low down bum, and that's how big it is. It comes up to my shoulders pretty much. So the next step now with this is to just paint it, or get it ready for painting now should I say. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a light sanding over, just take off some of these edges along here, just smoothing it along on there, and then get it painted. But I'm going to do that by hand, so I'm not too worried about that. Where's my little sanding book? Now I have test fitted it where it's going to be sitting as well, on the staircase, and it fits there quite well. I wanted to test fit it before I went ahead and painted it, just in case I needed to do any tweaking to it at all, which thankfully I don't. It's been tried with all the pieces they want to put on it, holds all the weight well. So I'm going to give it a clean off and then paint it. Alright, for all you weirdos out there, I'm now ready to paint. So if you actually want to watch me paint, I'm going to give this a coat first now. And it's going to be, don't know why I did that on the brush first. It's going to be the natural slate is what they've chosen. Initially they wanted to go black with the whole thing, but obviously they went shopping, found a different colour. So this is what it's going to be. They have got something else in their house as well, which is this colour, so it will tie in quite nicely. The beauty of building something like this as well, it's a multi-purpose piece. It doesn't have to go exactly where they want it to go. Obviously that's where it is going to live, but because it's, initially I was going to cut it so it actually sat on a skirting board and then it could go right into the corner. That's what the plan was on the staircase. That's what my plan was anyway. But then they said they didn't want it to sit on the skirting board. They wanted it to stand in front of it. And the benefit of that is it means now that if they do want to move it around, they do want to put it anywhere else, they absolutely can do, because it's going to have all four pieces the same length. It's not going to be a wonky piece, so they can move it around, shift it around anywhere in their house, and it will still go. Now this finish is also very much like a stain, so it doesn't really, it goes on like a paint, but it actually finishes more like a stain, so you actually see the grain of the wood through it. I'll try and get a better image of it once it's all said and done, but it's a pretty decent one, I like it. Right, we'll let that dry now, then I'll get back to you once it's all said and done, give you the outro, show you some pictures of it. Catch you soon. Right, so that's this project, all painted up now, all dried, finished. Really happy with the colour actually, how it's turned out. It's a bit hard to see on the camera, but that's the size of it. It's 54 inches high. So from the very base to here is 54 inches. And the widest part from the back corner out to the front, it's 9 inches deep, and then obviously it tapers off up to the top one. I think I cut, from memory, a 10 degree, 10? Yeah, I cut a 10 degree angle on these two front pieces at the top and the bottom, so obviously just tilt them back and it fits perfect where I need it. So really happy, that's that one done. So thank you again for joining me with another one of these projects. There is some bigger ones, I know I keep saying it, there is some bigger ones to come. I have a couple of interesting ones that I've got to work on, which is what these are for as well. But I need to get some things sold and moved on so I can actually get another couple of tools before I start finishing those. And obviously there is the crutch walnut, this piece, which I've still got to decide on what to do with. I've got more of an idea in my head now what I want to do with it, so that may be one of the next projects coming up, but we'll see. But as you've seen with some of my poles, I have some rosewood and some pear and some other bits and pieces still to play with, so there is some interesting ones to come, I promise you. Thank you for sticking with us. If you could please subscribe if you haven't already, as there is almost 95% of you guys who are watching who are not subscribed. which I appreciate all the views. I really love it all. You know, so thank you for watching the video, especially if you've got it through to this end. But please just whack that button to subscribe, helps grow the channel, and then I'll be able to bring you some bigger, more exciting projects in the future, hopefully, if we can get this into something. So again, I know I've said it already, but thank you. We'll see you on the next one. Happy days.